Welcome back to Your Health Radio and Television program. I'm Dr. Lisa Hernandez. We've been talking about back to school. We've learned how to pack nutritious lunches and eat good meals, and we've learned about vaccines and how to protect ourselves and our families from infectious disease. We're going to change gears now and talk about emotional health. When we look at mental health and school readiness, it's a different perspective that people often forget. But we actually have seen in studies that a child's emotional IQ or their social skills may be a better indicator for success and academic achievement. I would like to talk a little bit about how to prepare children for some of the issues that they may be faced with when it comes to bullying, stress, peer pressure, body image. And I have invited Bob Brunson, who is a licensed marriage and family therapist from the Monterey County Behavioral Health Bureau in the Monterey County Health Department. And actually he works for Children's Services. Yes, Bob?
That's correct. Yes.
So, thank you, Bob. We were just talking about the fact that we've been wanting to do a show about mental health, and school is a perfect time to talk about the emotional needs of a child. So I really appreciate you coming on and talking today.
Well, thank you very much for having me.
Great. So as children head back to school, what are some of the things that are most important for parents to consider when they're assisting their children to get ready for that first day?
Well, I think you said it very well, that oftentimes we think about, school clothes and getting books and stuff ready,
right,
and that kind of thing. But in reality, I think one of the most important things is for the family to be there for the kids as much as humanly possible. And so to be involved with their kids in every aspect. And one of the things that is so very, very critical, as you mentioned, that most kids will learn if they are exposed to the different things in school, if they're in a good place, as we say. So if they are feeling good about themselves, if they feel secure and their emotional needs are being met, then they'll do fairly well. And so one of the things I wanted to mention is that when folks are heading off to school again and the kids are getting ready, the parents can really be involved and really focus on meeting their emotional needs.
I think I read somewhere where the academics are very important, but it's what happens at home that really does factor in there. Are there some critical points or things that needs, I guess, that need to be met for children?
Well, actually, one of the things that we use here in Monterey County is a book called How to Raise Emotionally Healthy Children. And one of the reasons that we use that is that it is available. The Monterey County Behavioral Health, along with the Child Abuse Prevention Council and some of the other agencies, make this book available at no cost for folks in the county.
Oh.
In fact, let's see, Salinas City elementary schools provide copies to all of their families. We have copies available through the Salinas City Library, and they've been actually available all summer long through a book reading program. But we also do different kinds of things. There's an agency called Harmony at Home, and they use the books and a lot of other programs in helping kids to feel emotionally comfortable at school and things like that. And so just briefly, I wanted to mention that the book talks about meeting kids' 5 critical needs, yes, their emotional needs. And again, I'll just hit them briefly, but one of the ones that we see as most important is the need for kids to be respected or to feel respected. We want kids to feel important. Another thing is to have kids feel like they're included in the family, that they're a part of that. We all like to feel accepted. And one of the things that we're seeing more and more important is the need to feel secure.
So, respected.
Important.
Important.
Accepted.
Accepted.
Included.
Included and secure.
And secure. And so if you think about that, they do dovetail, they do overlap a little bit. But you can almost look at this, a lot of times I feel like a snake oil salesman or something when I start talking about meeting these critical needs, because they're critical needs not just for kids, but for adults, for husbands and wives, for people at work and things like that. But as it pertains to children, one of the things, for example, we notice is that there's been an increase in gang involvement. And if you think about it, what are the reasons kids join gangs? Well, if they join a gang or if they become involved in that kind of lifestyle, right away they have these 5 needs met. And if they're not getting them met in appropriate ways, they'll get them met in inappropriate ways. So when you join a group of any kind, right away you're respected. And a lot of times, gangs and different folks get involved in problems because there is a lack of respect. They get dissed or something like that. Another thing is the need to feel important. When you get involved in a group, then there's a certain degree of importance that comes with that inherently. And then if you think about included, I mean, it's all about being included, accepted. You're accepted as part of the group, and also, unfortunately, a lot of people get involved in different groups to feel secure. So the ways that families can do that, and I love what your first guest had to say today about eating together. There are very many studies that have shown that one of the things that people in prison have in common is that they did not eat meals together as a family. And I think it speaks more to a rather disorganized family than anything else. But as we mentioned, one of the things parents can do is to be involved with their kids and being able to talk to kids when kids come home from school, not just saying, how's your day today, or they can say okay or whatever, but having that time at mealtime to sit with them and to talk about, their different classes, talk about their friends, talk about some of the things that they might be running into as far as peer pressure and things like that.
Any suggestions? I know this is not one of my questions,
but
any suggestions for good openers? You've named a number of topics, but say you ask your son or daughter and they say good, okay. What are some things to engage them more, or do you just keep trying? Because just like introducing a vegetable at every meal, once they know that they're going to expect to hear it or see it, then they'll respond eventually.
Well, there's an old saying that people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And I think that goes with parents too and with kids. And you said a number of different things, but I think you have to keep trying. One of the ways we say to do that is not to ask yes or no questions, certainly, and to ask more open-ended questions. Tell me a little bit about your day today, instead of what did you do today? And because then it gives them an opening, and then once they start, then you can ask more questions and things like that. But I think it's being available, being present to your kids. And again, one of the concerns today is there's such an avalanche of distractions. I mean, I don't have to tell you that, but there are so many things calling people's attention away from what's really, really important. And kids, I think we'd all agree, right, are the most important things, particularly the things that we do as parents. And so getting parents to understand that those precious moments at the dinner table can be really good, because kids, again, aren't... it's not like you're sitting down across from them, at some other time having one of those talks, You're just, you're just having dinner, and it's a way to open up. Another time is to just go into a child's room at night and to sit on the edge of the bed and just to say, how are you? How are you doing? And talk to me a little bit about your classes. Tell me about your friends. And again, a lot of people think, oh, my kids would never want to share that. That would be too intrusive, particularly when they get older. But the fact is that children want to have people know about them. We all want, to know and be known, and to love and be loved, and that's where that happens. It's those intimate moments. And if you make yourself available, there'll come a time when they're going to be desperate to share. But if you let them, kind of push you away or put a wall there and you stop trying, when they need you and you're not there for them, you will have missed that opportunity.
So you're basically building sort of opportunities for them to interact with you, whether it's for good news or bad news.
Absolutely.
Simple situations or tough ones.
Yeah, and you want them to feel comfortable talking to you about the good, the bad, and the ugly, about everything. So if you wait till there's a problem, that's hard. If you share only the good things, they may feel like they can't talk about the difficult
Right.
things. And so being a part of their life in every area.
Great. And what about social skills, or something that's called the emotional IQ? What does that concept really mean?
Well, really what we're talking about here are kids, you know, some people call it self-esteem or self-worth, or
Right.
their ability to negotiate things. The better kids feel about themselves, the better they're going to be able to negotiate the challenges that come, you know, into their life. And so a lot of times, I talk about like giving them a blessing, or in psychology, humanistic psychology, we used to call it, you know, this unconditional positive regard. It's having them feel a sense that, you know, there's nothing you could tell me that would make me think badly of you. There's nothing that you could tell me that I haven't heard before. I'm a parent, you're a kid, I want to know this. You're great, you're good, you can do these things, and supporting them in their efforts. And then if you started that when they were young, you know, in kindergarten or preschool even, and then encourage them to reach out and to stretch and to challenge themselves, and help them realize that mistakes aren't really mistakes, they're just learning, you know, reasons to learn, or opportunities to learn. And there's a lot different than saying, you know, you made the mistake and you're a bad kid. So anyway, all that to say, helping them to learn that they're good folks within themselves, and that they have this ability to take care of things. And if they don't, or if they run into these challenges, that they have a safe, secure place at home where then they can, you know, have the resource to help them through the challenges they might have.
So it sounds like building an emotional IQ goes along with meeting those essential needs: the secure, the accepted, the respected,
Included and important.
Important.
Yeah.
So if you are using that formula, if I could ever remember it, I'm going to say it a couple more times because
That's
I think it's really important, but using those 5 points really helps build a child's emotional IQ so they can cope with any of the difficulties that they may come across, or learn how or where to go, or know they can go home to kind of get those tools that they need.
Well, you know, and you think about it, you know, kids who don't feel important, for example, if they don't feel important, you know, a young woman, for example, might, you know, look for love in all the wrong places, for example, or they're so desperate to feel important that they may hook up with someone who doesn't treat them so well. I think that's why bullying happens a lot of times. You know, kids don't feel secure, they feel less than, and so they're the ones that end up being bullied and picked on. Because, you know, bullies aren't going to find kids who, you know, are strong and have a great deal of self-esteem. One of the things I always say to parents is that, you know, we want our kids to be autonomous, independent, and self-sufficient, so that when they go to college, they don't come back to live with you. No. But that kind of thing really begins in childhood.
Yes.
It begins very, very early, and then continues through life.
Well, perfect. I see you have a couple things, or are there a couple things you want to show us?
Well, you know what? I brought a copy of How to Raise Emotionally Healthy Children. It comes in Spanish and in English. And again, those books are available as long as we have them through the Salinas Public Library.
So this is the English version, the yellow one.
That's right.
And this turquoise or blue one is the Spanish version. So that's great.
Correct. Yeah, and I think that, again, that way you don't have to keep repeating this. They can just go ahead and get the books, and in a very, very simple and easy format to use.
Well, perfect. Well, I just wanted to ask you some questions about what you do at Behavioral Health. We have a few minutes that maybe you can let me know some of the work that you do with the schools. You mentioned providing the book. Are there other things that you work on?
Well, this is actually just an adjunct. My job is working with the educational agencies, so Monterey County Office of Education, the SELPA, the different school districts. And we here in Monterey County have what's called a system of care. And so kids can enter into the system in any different number of different ways. And they enter into our system through the educational part through being referred by a school psychologist. And they come through that way. So if a child is having emotional or behavioral issues at school and they're special ed kids, they can then have access to our services through the school district, but they have to be referred through the school district. However, we do at Behavioral Health, Children's Behavioral Health, have other different portals or entries. There's, if kids are involved in the DSES, Department of Social and Economic Security, if they, CPS is involved, they can get services through mental health that way. Okay. If kids are involved in the juvenile justice system, that's another portal where they can then get behavioral health services. And I did want to mention that if a child is in crisis, if there's you know, a problem that parents are having that becomes quite significant, certainly if it's an emergency, they should call 911. Okay. But if in fact there is a crisis, they can call 755-4111.
Again, what's the number?
755-4111, and that is a crisis number for families in crisis where the kids can get some access.
So is that a 24-hour number, Bob?
I believe it is a 24-hour crisis access.
Great. Well, we're ending our time, but I want to make sure that people know where to get the resources. Again, they can use the crisis number, which is 755-4111. Is there a good website?
Well, actually, the Monterey County has a website. You can get on our behavioral health website. I would be remiss if I didn't mention that there are a number of nonprofits that we work with too, or non-government agency nonprofits that are here. So there's Community Human Services, like I had mentioned, Harmony at Home, and a lot of other resources too. So a good number is 211.
Yes.
And so they can just dial 211 and they will hook them up with the best agency for their need.
Well, thank you very much, Bob. We've learned a lot about preparing kids back to school, nutritious information, we've learned about vaccines and behavioral health issues. And I hope you've learned something. I have, and I wish everyone a great school year. Thank you for watching or listening to Your Health radio and television program. Thank you, and take care.